So you see what she's doing here? I talk about deception and not wisdom. She's trying to equate the story of her two boys with the story, and that's just not the case. That's deception, not wisdom. But even more than that, I want you to see something here. She's elevating, the whole story is playing on David's emotion. As a father who loves his son, she's playing on his emotion, and she's elevating emotion over the truth of God's word. How do I know that? Listen, you ever see people do that? They'll wrap their argument in a bunch of spiritual wording that makes it sound real spiritual, but it's not got any real biblical truth to it. Does that ever happen? It's happened to me. But listen to what she does here. I mean, look at verse 14 again. I mean, she's wrapping this. She's appealing to his emotions, and she's just wrapping it all in spiritual lingo. She says, we will surely die, and are like spilled water on the ground. Which can't you just picture? David, we're all going to die. We're all going to die, and water spilled out, and Amnon is dead. It sounds a lot like David when he killed Uriah, and he sent word to Joab, don't worry about it, Joab. Everybody dies. Do you see what she's doing? It's not that big of a deal, David. And we all die, water spilled on the ground, you can't bring it back up, we're all going to die. But then look at what she says. Yet God does not take away life, but plans ways so that the banished one will not be cast out from him. Now she is a crafty woman. This is where deceit enters into this. She says, God doesn't take life. Hear that one more time. God doesn't take life. Is that true? No. Essentially what she's saying is God doesn't judge. Is that true, that God doesn't judge? No, absolutely not. That's what she said. Listen, David, God's heart is not inclined towards judgment. We're all going to die. Amnon dead. God doesn't judge people. God is loving. God is gracious. God is kind. And she even says here, he devises plans to bring back the banished one. Now, we're going to talk about this in a moment. God does plan a way to bring back the banished ones, meaning you and me. But the way she is saying it here is that God brings back the banished ones by ignoring the sin. And that's not true. Do you see what she's doing? It's very subtle. She's appealing to his emotions. She's saying to David, it's not that big of a deal. We're all going to die. It's like two brothers fighting in a field. Things got out of control. Listen, sorry, Amnon had to die, but ain't that big of a deal. And listen, look to God. God is loving. You're being judgmental towards Absalom. Don't be so judged. God is not a God who judges. He's a loving God, and He'll figure out a way to bring back people who do wrong. Now, when I say it that way, it sounds pretty icky, doesn't it? I mean, we're getting dangerously close to universalism, aren't we? It's just all going to work out in the wash. You know, God will figure out a way to bring them all back. People die, it's no big deal. God doesn't judge. He's just a loving God. Do you see what this woman is doing? She's not bringing wisdom. She's bringing deception. And she's elevating emotion over truth. And it's going to lead to disastrous consequences.